guys, for today's video I thought I'd pop up this little eyeshadow video. This has actually been requested on, I think it was my Designer Brands Drugstore lip swatch video, to do just a video on my top eyeshadow palettes. I've got like 6 or 7 here to show you, and these are just the absolute best of the best for me. It's what I reach for all the time. A lot of them are drugstore too, which might be helpful to some of you who are like in school or on a budget. So without further ado, let's just get into it. I'll start with this one because this is actually on my eyes right now. This is the Makeup Revolution Naked Chocolate Palette. It's from like the I Love Makeup range. I believe these are meant to be dupes for the Too Faced chocolate bar palettes, at least the milk chocolate one is. I've heard this one is a dupe for one of the Naked palettes. I ordered this direct off the Makeup Revolution website and it took like a week to come to New Zealand, so I was pretty impressed. I can't remember the exact price. I know it was very inexpensive. It was like £10 or something. I'll definitely write all the links and the prices and everything down below if you guys want to go check them out. This is like the white chocolate one. Honestly, if you put these in a Too Faced palette, I would not know the difference because the pigmentation is absolutely incredible. I was drawn to this one because it's got really nice warm browns in it. It's a beautiful like chocolatey brown here, like a reddy brown over here. Lots of nice matte crease colors, like these two ones are really nice together. There's a nice shimmery highlight and a matte highlight, and I just think if you love your neutral looks, you really cannot go wrong with this. Absolutely gorgeous full-time palette too because it's such like earthy kind of tones. It's got a massive mirror in it, which is awesome for traveling. Packaging doesn't feel too cheap. It's plastic, but it's still nice and thick and sturdy, and I've taken it traveling and it was totally fine. Plus it's really cute. I mean, for something drugstore, this is really nice packaging. And another good little tip is to wait for them to have a sale or something, because when I ordered I got a free eyeshadow palette with this one. It's called like Stripped and Bare palette or something, because I spent over £30. They always have little deals on the website, so do check for those if you are ordering off there. But like I said, it came to New Zealand really quickly and it was so cheap as well. My next favourite palette that I have to show you is the Lorac Pro 2 palette. I don't have the Lorac Pro palette. I'm sure it's just as pigmented, but this is the one I own. Firstly, everything is so pigmented. This is probably the most pigmented palette I own. You literally need the smallest tip of your brush in these and they are so pigmented. It's ridiculous. So even though the shadows are on the small side, I don't really feel like it matters to me anyway because they're so pigmented. Not only are they super pigmented, but they're really, really, really buttery. They are so easy to blend. I just love traveling with this because A, it's so thin. It's honestly like a credit card almost. It's so skinny. And I love that you can do so many looks. Like with this, you can obviously make like a cool brown look and a warm brown look, which is great if you like your neutrals. You can do like a champagne-y look with these ones. You can do a purpley look. You can do a green-based look, a really warm brown look. You can do like a silver smoky eye for clubbing with all these greys. This one was a little bit more pricey, I believe. I got it off the makeupshop.co.nz. I don't know if they're still around even, because they were like a startup business when I got this off them. So if they're still going, I'll link them down below. Otherwise you could obviously use UShop or something to get it here, and possibly Sephora. I haven't checked on there yet, but hopefully in time, if it's not on Sephora NZ, they should be stocking Lorac. Next palette I have to show you is the BH Cosmetics Baked Eyeshadow Palette, and this is the Galaxy Chic or Chic palette. Gotta say, I hate the packaging, but I'm pretty sure they've changed it now because I did see other people using it like a year ago and it just had a purple like plain cover, and I was like, oh, they changed it, because it's like, I don't know, I just don't really like it. It looks like kids makeup. But the shades, guys, the shades. I would even still say buy it with this packaging, even if they hadn't changed it, because the colours are so pretty. If you are looking for shimmery lid colors, you need to check this out. They are so beautiful. I did a look recently with these kind of like corally ones. Usually with like lid colors, shimmery lid colors, I use an eye base to make the color pop, but with these I do not need to. They are just so crazy pigmented. And of course this is BH Cosmetics, so it's super affordable. I just had to mention it to you guys. Obviously on the downside it's not great for traveling because it's massive and there's no matte colors or anything, but I do think if you're looking to branch out your collection and get into some more colored eyeshadows, definitely check it out. Like look at this one. It's just like Cranberry from MAC, but more pigmented. Oh, they're so beautiful. I can't get over it. Definitely check this out. I feel like even the most fancy makeup artist person would not turn their nose up at this because the quality is there. It is so beautiful. Next palette I have to show is slightly more expensive, but then the last one/ones are drugstore, so please forgive me. This is the Too Faced Cat Eyes palette. This one is great for traveling. I like how that's one of my like key pros or cons in a palette, even though I guess I do travel like moderate amounts, but yeah, that shouldn't really be like the deciding factor, but it is great for traveling because it's really small and it's got a little mirror behind this thingy. You can probably guess why it caught my eye. Cat eyes, got leopard print, but the actual shades are so nice. I feel like if you have green eyes like me, or even hazel eyes, this is a palette you need to get your mitts on. It is on the smaller side, but every shade like hits the nail on the head. It's perfect. This is gorgeous chocolatey brown shade, really shimmery brown. It's almost like, what's it called, Woodwinked from MAC kind of, but not as orangey. It's just like a beautiful bronzy shade. This amazing light purple, which reminds me of Beautiful Iris from MAC, and this purpley one, Jungle Love, which reminds me of Blackberry from MAC, except way easier to blend because that's a matte and it's so hard to work with. I love the colour of that shadow, but like I hate it at the same time because it's so hard to work with. Whereas this one actually blends really easily, and then it's got a black and a silver, which is awesome if you're going like clubbing or out at night. It's got 3 highlight shades. It's got a matte one, which I like to put down in the crease before I even do anything, just to make sure everything blends really well. It's got like a frosty pink, and then this one's more like a yellowy frosty highlight. You can use this one to set under your eyes. You can use these to highlight your cheekbones. Great compact packaging. It's really safe. It magnetizes shut, but it like never comes open by itself. I just think out of all the Too Faced palettes I've tried, this one is my #1 favorite because everything in it is just perfect. It just gets it absolutely right, if you know what I mean. So love that. Actually slightly lied. I forgot I had this palette to show, which is not Drugstore, but it's the Naked palette, original Naked palette. You can tell how well loved it is. I actually got this a good year or so ago now, and I got it from a family friend who lives in America. You can buy Urban Decay now in New Zealand at the Auckland airport, which isn't like super accessible, but at least you can get it somewhere. I am giving one away on my Instagram right now if you guys are interested in winning one. You could go into that, I'll link it down below. This is my favourite Naked palette. I have the Naked 3 and I like never touch it. It's so bad, but this one is just so much more versatile. I feel like with the Naked 3 it's like pink tone dye, dark pink tone dye, light pink tone dye. That's like all you can do with it. Whereas this, again, you're probably sensing a theme, but I just like the versatility. How again you can do like a smoky eye, you can do a bronzy eye. This palette is pretty much all warm toned or like neutral toned, but I love that. If you don't love your warm browns, you could always have a look at the Naked 2 because that is more cool toned, but I literally have to stop myself from using it, otherwise all my tutorials will just be Naked palette, Naked palette, Naked palette. It's just one of those ones, every time I pick it back up I fall in love again instantly. This gold is like the most beautiful gold I've ever seen. Whenever I'm doing a gold lid and I put on a different brand of gold shadow, it just like never fulfills me like this one. It's half baked. I believe they sell it separately. Bit of a splurge, but 100% worth it. Plus you get little primer potion samples when you buy this, which is always nice. And lastly, I just wanted to mention Chi Chi palettes. The main one I was going to include is the bronzes palette, which I believe you guys would know that I love if you've been a subscriber for a while. The packaging is really gross because I've travelled with it so much. I think what Chi Chi were going for was like to duplicate the Urban Decay packaging because, I mean, not the packaging, like the layout of their shadows, because they are very similar, but they pull it off because the shadows are just as pigmented. If I'm being analytic, the packaging is a little bit cheap, but it never bothers me. I don't really notice it when I'm using the shadows or anything. Again, super pigmented. It's kind of like a given for my top eyeshadow palettes. It's not like I would love an eyeshadow palette that's not pigmented. Absolutely glorious, and it's Drugstore for New Zealand anyway. And a few more honourable mentions. The Max 3 palette. This is a beautiful basics palette. By the way, they come with these little sponges, which I just... Okay, they were supposed to fall out for dramatic impact, but it didn't. Like, how good is this for a matte palette? That's literally every crease colour you would ever need. It's even got like a dark black kind of one. If you had like this in the BH Cosmetics Galaxy Chic palette, you'd be sorted because there's all your crease colours and there's all your lid colours, you know? It's just a good like basics kind of thing to have in your collection. If you're not into really plain creases, they do have other editions of like matte palettes. That's just the plain one, but I think Matte 3 is a really great one because it would go with anything. I also wanted to mention the Nudes palette because if you can't get your hands on the Naked palette that I just mentioned, the original Naked palette, this is pretty much a carbon copy for it. If I hold them side by side like that, you can see it's an obvious duplicate. They've pretty much done a perfect job of duping them, almost identical in terms of performance. Obviously the packaging isn't as great, but the one shade that's slightly lacking is the gold because Half Baked is just so pigmented and they didn't quite hit the nail on the head with that one. It's still a nice gold, it shows up gold on your eyelid and everything, but that one's like next level. Still fantastic though, really pigmented, great for the price, and accessible to those of us who live in New Zealand. And if you did love the look of the Naked chocolate palette, like you're into your warm browns and stuff, I would definitely recommend the Spices palette. It's very similar to the bronzes palette, but it just doesn't have like the black and grey and white kind of shades. It's all just like beautiful warm kind of colours, reddy browns with a few crease shades and stuff. You get the gist. Buttery, pigmented, great price, great colours. These are just like a win every time. Those are my absolute favourite palettes. Obviously I do have other palettes that I love, but I really wanted to narrow it down to ones that I like think you need and I would recommend to anybody who asked me, and it ended up being like half drugstore and half kind of more expensive, so that worked out really well. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and also please write a comment down below of your favourite eyeshadow palette so people can check that out as well. Have a great rest of the day and I'll talk to you soon. Bye! It's a really random colour. I don't know why my hair turned out this colour, but it just did. Stop walking. Number 28, eye colour. My eyes are green. Number 29, do you wear contacts? No, I do not. Number 30, favourite food. Cannelloni,